I'm Smriti Sudesh and welcome to Above the Fold show. We begin with a major uproar in the Lok Sabha as the centre and the opposition clash over delimitation bills. Also coming up, Joshua Landis speaks on the escalating West Asia war and Donald Trump draws attention with a controversial post. In other stories, a key Supreme Court observation on voting rights and India's grandmaster Vaishali clinches a major title. Stay with us for the full report. The Parliament witnessed a day filled with intense debates, political messaging and high stakes. Union Law Minister Arjun Megwal introduced the Constitution 131st Amendment Bill 2026 aimed at enabling 33% reservation for women alongside the delimitation bill. Union Home Minister Amit Shah tabled the Union Territories Law Amendment Bill 2026. The government is pitching this as a long pending step towards women's empowerment, but that's where the consensus ends. Opposition parties say they support women's reservation, but not the way it's being done. They are concerned its linkage with delimitation. That's because delimitation could redraw political power with a proposal to expand the Lok Sabha from 543 to up to 850 seats based on the last published census. This morning, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin took to the streets in protest. He hoisted a black flag, burnt a copy of the delimitation bill, dubbed it a black law, and alleged it seeks to make the Tamil people refugees in their own land. The protest echoed inside the House, where DMK MP T.R. Balu welcomed the women's reservation and raised objections to the delimitation bill, prompting Speaker Om Birla to remark that the House does not care about black or yellow flags.
Yesterday, my leader in Salem rally, he has hoisted the black flag, and at the same time, he has burnt to ashes the bill proposed by the government.
उन्होंने काला झंडा दिखाया, पीला झंडा दिया, इससे सदन से क्या लेना है? दिखाते रहो झंडे.
The debate turned sharp, with leaders across parties trading barbs throughout the day. Congress leader K.C. Venugopal accused the government of wanting to completely hijack the constitution. Several opposition MPs welcomed the women's reservation bill. However, they raised strong objections to linking it with delimitation.
This bill is completely a fundamental attack on Indian federal structure, sir. So what exactly the intention of the introduction of the bill? This is what the entire country is now watching. This government want to completely hijack the constitutional protection, and they want to put the bill is very clear, sir. In the name of women reservation, you are trying to sabotage Indian democracy, Indian federal system. Honorable LOP used to tell that India is a union of states. Every state have their own capacity. Every state has their own place in this country. You are trying to diminish the status of some states for political motive.
महिला विधेयक के पक्ष में हम आप जनगणना क्यों नहीं कराना चाहते? ये अध्यक्ष महोदय, आप सेंसस ये इसलिए नहीं करना चाहते हैं कि जैसे ही जनगणना होगी हम सब लोग जाति गणना मांगेंगे, जाति गणना होगी तो हम आरक्षण मांगेंगे, इसीलिए आप लोग धोखा देकर के आना चाहते हैं।
ये संख्या किसने निर्धारित किया? सरकार। और इसीलिए तो हम इस बिल का विरोध कर रहे हैं कि आज सरकार अपने आप जो संविधान में लिखा हुआ है कि जो अगला सेंसस होगा 2026 उसके बाद डिलिमिटेशन होगा, आज सरकार ने वो संविधान का पूरा आर्टिकल 81 को खत्म करके खुद अपने आप को ताकत दे रहा है कि नहीं, सेंसस के लिए नहीं हमको रुकना, और अपने आप हमने चुन लिया कि 815 करना है। ये संख्या कहां से आया? नागपुर से आया? किसी शाखा से आया? कहां से आया?
प्रोपोर्शन आज भी उतना ही खराब है। आप ये डिलिमिटेशन करें या ना करें, उसके बावजूद भी खराब है। इट्स टिल्टेड टुवर्ड्स नॉर्थ, और इस डिलिमिटेशन के बाद इट विल फर्दर टिल्ट टुवर्ड्स नॉर्थ, और सारी की सारी ताकत जो है 4-5 रियासतों में होगी। इस डिलिमिटेशन के बाद इंडेंटेड जो नंबर्स है, यूपी, बिहार, मध्य प्रदेश, राजस्थान, महाराष्ट्र और गुजरात मेनली, इनके पास तकरीबन कुल मिला के 400 के करीब सीट्स होंगे, और जम्मू कश्मीर का फैसला ये 4-5 रियासतें अकेले ले सकती है।
एक तरफ महिला आरक्षण की बड़ी बड़ी बातें, तो दूसरी तरफ गुप्त रूप से ओबीसी वर्ग का हक छीना जा रहा है। और कुछ प्रदेशों की ताकत कम करके लोकतंत्र की धज्जियां उड़ाकर अगले चुनाव के लिए अपनी पार्टी की मजबूती का ढांचा बनाया जा रहा है।
The government insists those fears are misplaced, saying no state will lose its share. Prime Minister Modi urged members to vote in favor of the passage of the bills. He said the process for these bills will not do any injustice to any state or discriminate against anyone.
मैं आज बड़ी जिम्मेवारी के साथ इस सदन में इस पवित्र जगह से कहना चाहता हूं, चाहे दक्षिण हो, उत्तर हो, पूर्व हो, पश्चिम हो, छोटे राज्य हो, बड़े राज्य हो, मैं आज एक जिम्मेवारी से कहना चाहता हूं कि निर्णय प्रक्रिया किसी के साथ भी भेदभाव नहीं करेगी। ये निर्णय प्रक्रिया किसी के साथ अन्याय नहीं करेगी।
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, ये जो 3 बिल, एक संविधान संशोधन और 2 बिल सदन के सामने अभी प्रस्तुत किए हैं, उसमें से संविधान संशोधन करने के बाद महिला आरक्षण को लॉजिकल एंड ले जाने के लिए ये 2 कानून जरूरी है, इसलिए 2 कानून साथ में लाए गए।
Congress's Venugopal said they are searching for the word delimitation in Modi's full speech. He said the concern is very clear. As per the existing constitutional provision, this bill shifts the decision on delimitation from the constitution to ordinary legislation. Arvind Sawant from Shiv Sena questioned the link between women's reservation and delimitation, specifically raising concerns over the Delimitation Commission, which shall determine its own procedures. Amit Shah slammed the opposition later in the evening and rejected the narrative that the South would lose seats. The number of seats in the southern states will not be reduced. He assured that Tamil Nadu's seats may go up to 59 and Karnataka's to 42. He said the law governing the Delimitation Commission is exactly as per the old law and no changes have been made. The final vote is scheduled for 4 p.m. on Friday and the battle lines are clearly drawn. In a rapidly shifting West Asia landscape, a fragile ceasefire declared on April 18 continues to hold, but not without strain. While US President Donald Trump linked it to Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz, Tehran still retains effective control over the passage. Questions over the scope of the truce persist, with Israel continuing strikes in Lebanon despite claims of a broader ceasefire. Pakistan, meanwhile, is pushing for a new round of US-Iran talks. So how do we make sense of these overlapping tensions? Our international affairs editor Stanley Johnny speaks with Professor Joshua Landis of the University of Oklahoma and Director, Center of Middle East Studies.
When we look at what's happening in the region now, we have a fragile ceasefire from April 8th. But at the same time, when President Trump declared ceasefire, he said the ceasefire would be contingent upon Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz remains effectively under Iran's control. And the Iranians and the Pakistanis said that the ceasefire would be applicable for Lebanon as well. But the Israelis continue their attacks on Lebanon. I mean, how do you look at all these developments?
Well, it is very hard to make sense. And it's quite clear that the United States entered into this war. It's a war of choice. Israel encouraged to go in, and President Trump clearly was impressed with Netanyahu's arguments and launched into this war, despite his intelligence people and many of his advisors, State Department and so forth, saying don't do it, because over and over again we've played out these war games and America loses in the Gulf. Iran has, in a sense, strategically won. The one area that it has gained out of is that the West is very divided, and we see Europe already beginning to try to organize around France and Germany to provide some other plan for how to open the straits. But the United States still has a lot of coercive power. And whether those divisions will really turn in Iran's favor, we don't know. You know, China has just said and sort of warned America not to close the straits to Chinese ships. But at the same time, what is China going to do? Are they going to really send their ships through with destroyers and challenge the United States? It's not clear, because Iran is not an important prize Even though it's important for China, the Chinese have never really wanted to challenge the United States over Iran. And China has very important relations with the Gulf countries. So it doesn't want to alienate them. This is the same problem that India, of course, falls into. So it leaves us in a quandary.
The war of words between US President Donald Trump and Pope Leo is escalating. A new post by Trump has reignited the clash, bringing politics, religion, and the Iran war into sharp focus. Here's the full story.
US President Donald Trump has posted an image of himself with Jesus on social media as his clash with Pope Leo intensifies. The image shows Trump touching temple to temple with Jesus set against an American flag. He defended the post, saying the radical left lunatics might not like this, but I think it's quite nice. This follows an earlier post portraying himself as a Jesus-like figure, which drew backlash and was later deleted. The exchange is part of a widening feud between Trump and Pope Leo, the first US-born leader of the Catholic Church. At the center of the clash is the West Asia War. Pope Leo has been a vocal critic, warning against war and accusing world powers of violating international law. On April 13, he said he had no fear of the Trump administration and would continue to speak out. Trump has repeatedly hit back. On April 12, he called Pope weak and terrible on crime and foreign policy. The very next day, he posted the Jesus-like image. On April 14, he escalated further, urging that someone please tell Pope Leo about killings in Iran and warning that Tehran must not have a nuclear bomb. The Pope, meanwhile, has held his ground, saying God does not listen to those who wage war and have hands full of blood. He has also warned of democracies sliding into majoritarian tyranny and raised concerns over US migration policies. This feud has drawn sharp political reactions, with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni calling Trump's remarks unacceptable. Meanwhile, Trump publicly rebuked one of his closest allies, saying she lacked courage and had let Washington down.
The Supreme Court has made it clear voters cannot be punished for choosing not to vote. Hearing a petition seeking penalties for those who skip polling, Chief Justice of India Surya Kant said voting must remain a voluntary exercise. The choice to vote or not lies entirely with the elector. The court underlined that coercion has no place in a democracy. It questioned whether daily wage earners or migrant workers should be forced to travel long distance to vote, risking their livelihoods. Should we direct their arrest? The Chief Justice asked, stressing that such measures would go against the rule of law. Instead, the court emphasized that awareness, not compulsion, is the right way to encourage voter participation. The bench dismissed the plea, asking the petitioner to take the matter up with the appropriate authorities. Let's now turn to the Hindu Roundup for some of our exclusive contents. In an editorial titled Dry Days on Rainfall Deficit Forecast, the focus turns to a varying monsoon outlook for India. After 2 consecutive years of surplus rainfall, the India Meteorological Department has forecast an 8% deficit for upcoming June-September season. While estimates carry a margin of error, past trends suggest that early warnings of a below-normal monsoon often precede drought-like conditions. The possible emergence of El Nino, particularly in the latter half of the season, adds to the concern, though the Indian Ocean dipole may offer some balance. The editorial underscores the urgent need for government preparedness, from managing water resources to ensuring fertilizer availability and guiding farmers effectively. You can watch the full video on our YouTube channel, The Hindu Originals. The new episode of Pulse Maharashtra takes a look at the TCS Nashik case. What began as a single complaint has now expanded into multiple FIRs and serious criminal allegations involving employees at a TCS facility. At the center are difficult questions around workplace safety, consent and the limits of personal choice, along with concerns about religious freedom and due process. Maharashtra Chief of Bureau Vinaya Deshpande takes a closer look at what we know so far, what remains unclear, and why the story matters beyond the states. Here is a snippet.
The FIR invokes multiple provisions under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, including sexual harassment, rape through deceit, outraging religious sentiments, stalking, and intimidation. In one complaint, a man alleges he was pressured to convert to Islam. He claims he was made to consume beef, recite religious texts, and told that his father's recovery from paralysis depended only on his conversion. Other complaints, particularly from women, include allegations of rape, molestation, and coercion under false promises of marriage. There are also claims that religious beliefs were mocked to pressure victims into conversion. Police say These incidents span multiple years and multiple victims. So far, 7 people have been arrested, while one accused, identified as an HR manager, is absconding. Police have formed multiple teams to trace her. All those named in the FIRs have been suspended by the TCS pending investigation, and investigators say more arrests are possible.
On next, Indian chess has a new milestone to celebrate. Grandmaster R Vaishali has become the first Indian to win the FIDE Women's Candidates title, topping standings with 8.5 points at the end of the final round. She sealed the crown with a crucial win over Katrina Lagno after a tense finish at the top. Vaishali will now take on defending champion Zhu Wenjun of China for the World Championship title, likely later this year. She is the only second Indian woman to fight for a world title after Konero Humpy in 2011. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on today's episode in the comment section. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share it and save the Above the Fold playlist so you never miss an update.